I want you to trust the process, Buff Nation. I want you to respect Coach Prime's decision. What I don't want you to do is second guess, because a process takes time.
All right, here with NFL insider Ian Rappaport. He had the news that it's looking like Colorado's going to hire Robert Livingston as defensive coordinator. Ian, what can you tell us about this?
BWB. Bandwagon Buffs.
That's right. It's your man's Harry Billion. Please do me a favor and smash that subscribe button. Make sure to give me the thumbs up. And don't forget to hit that bell notification so that you can get the videos as soon as it uploads to YouTube. All right, family, so I got to go ahead and get into this video real quick. So that's all the business I got. You know what time it is. Let's work.
Yeah, this news just coming down over the last couple of minutes. Livingston in Colorado right now, meeting with Deion Sanders. My understanding is he is expected to be the new defensive coordinator. Not really a household name, but what I know about him is he's young, he's bright, really impressive in person, which, you know, obviously in college you want a great coach, but you also want someone who can recruit, and he certainly seems like someone who would be charismatic enough to do that, and he learned from one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL. I mean, Lou Anarumo is as good as it comes. Not just like X's and O's play calling, but teaching, someone whose coaches really respect him and learn from him. And, you know, you talk about like lineage, resume. I like where Livingston has come from.
Do you really? Do you really like where Livingston comes from? Yeah, do you really? Listen, man, I just want to make this very clear. This is not picking on Ian Rappaport. I understand this industry. There are relationships that you got to cultivate. You don't want to say the wrong thing to send the wrong message to the wrong crowd or anything like that. And if you are an insider like Ian Rappaport, to get information like this, to be privy to insider information like this, to be able to break news like this, you need to make sure that those relationships are in good standing. So you can't really give your true, honest opinion sometimes. I'm not saying he's lying, but you can't really give your gut opinion sometimes because of the relationships you have in the industry. So I get it. But Buff Nation, I want us to take a second gander just for the fun of it. You know what I'm saying? Let's do it for the tube. But this time, I want you to pay close attention to Ian Rappaport's body language, his eye contacts, looking down or up, looking away. Pay close attention to those things. And then tell me, what do you think Ian thinks about this guy? Let's try this one more time, Ian.
Yeah, this news just coming down over the last couple of minutes. Livingston in Colorado right now, meeting with Deion Sanders. My understanding is he is expected to be the new defensive coordinator. Not really a household name, but what I know about him is he's young, he's bright, really impressive in person, which, you know, obviously in college you want a great coach, but you also want someone who can recruit, and he certainly seems like someone who would be charismatic enough to do that.
Eyes are closing. He's looking away a lot. I am no body linguistic expert. Why does Ian seem uncomfortable or unsure about what he is saying? So Buff Nation, what do you think? I want to hear from you. This one is going to be about you. I want to hear what you got to say in the comments. What we know about Livingston is that he's young, he's bright.
What I know about him is he's young, he's bright.
Not just X's and O's, but he knows how to recruit.
You also want someone who can recruit, and
9 years of experience coaching secondary, coaching safeties. What are your thoughts? Young and bright sounds pretty familiar. I believe that's the same terminology they use for Sean Lewis. Young and bright. They come young and bright and white. I'll just throw that one in there for a bonus. Young, bright, and white. All right. How is this going to work out? How is this going to gel with the young guys? Are the young guys going to gel with Livingston? Is he relatable because of his age? We're most certainly not trying to age shame when we say young and bright, because in certain cases you want old and experienced. But do they ever say old and experienced when the person is old and experienced? Or we just say young and bright? Because maybe it'll be sort of disrespectful to say somebody's old. But why is that? Why do we think that? Going into our second year, would we rather have old and experienced or young and bright? This one is about you, fan base. Colorado fans, the BWBs, I want you to respond also. What is BWB? Well, that means bandwagon buff. That means you're here because of Coach Prime. Coach Prime is here, so you're here. You're bandwagon buff. You can flip it any way you want to flip it. You're a bandwagon buff, okay? But I want to hear from all of y'all. Think critically. Why not? You're a fan base. That's what you are. That's what we do. We talk trash. We talk junk. We talk everything. Take off your Deion Sanders, a.k.a. Coach Prime's cap and sunglasses for a second and provide me some critical thinking. I'm not saying be disrespectful or don't respect the pick if they come out and say that is the pick, because right now we're just treating it like Ian Rappaport says, is what's being reported. So we don't know if this is going to be the final say, but for right now, let's just pretend this is the final say. I want to hear from Buff Nation. You're out there, you're talking to your friends, you're in different chat rooms, you're having conversations. What are the conversations that you're having? If you don't want it to be your main account, log into your burner account and come and answer this question, but answer it honestly. What is it that you think? We need to put up some W's now. The first year was successful. We win 4-8. The previous year, it was 1-11. A lot of people saying, well, you can't really compare the two, but yes, it was a successful year. Year number 2, there are high expectations to win the Big 12, to get into the playoffs. We understand that the Big 12 runs the ball heavily. I'm going to put a stat on your screen, and I want to thank my guy, Tim, for sending me this stat. I want you to take a look at the Big 12 player rushing stats for 2023. OSU, 1,700 yards. Texas Tech, 1,500 yards. UCF, 1,400 yards. Kansas, 1,200 yards. I can keep going, but you see right there on your screen. 1,100, 1,000. Do you know what that says? That says that some of these teams that we're going to be facing, they have backs that ran over 1,000 yards in 2023. That means that the ball is not going to be primarily in the hands of the quarterback. The quarterback's going to hand it off, and that running back is going to run that ball. These are just questions. I know around here, Buff Nation, when you ask questions, it seems like you're hating, but these are questions. That's simply it. Put it on the books, just like Vegas, put it on the record. Because you got to live with the answer, and you got to trust the process. If you're going to trust the process, do not complain. If you say this is what it is, then that means you got to apply a certain amount of grace for learning and for the process. Trust the process is not accept anything and all things. That's not what trust the process means. Trust the process means grace. For those of you who don't understand what trust the process means, that means allow time for development. Allow time for mistakes. Also, don't forget to celebrate the good, but have some grace for mistakes. That's what trust the process means. Some people in the fan base would throw that phrase around to basically mask what they're really thinking. Trust the process. I want you to trust the process, Buff Nation. I want you to respect Coach Prom's decision. What I don't want you to do is second guess, because a process takes time. For the most part, we lack patience. Most fan bases lack patience. A lot of us don't have patience for the process. We say a prayer and we want God to answer right away. We don't have time and no patience for God's timing or for anybody else's timing to develop. You prayed last night, 1 week later, you're already stressing. Oh, God is not there. We're hiring a DC. His resume as a coach, as a teacher, as a recruiter, as a safeties coach, a secondaries coach, it's very good. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. He's young and he's bright. That young and bright part means he's going to come with new ideas. He's going to look at the game of today, not of yesterday, but what's happening in the game today. What are the young guys doing? How fast are the young guys? How agile? How swift are they? That's what that young part means. That means he's also going to be fresh with ideas. This is what defenses are doing today. Hey, coach, what if we tried this? Hey, coach, do you mind if? That's obviously when they're in their meetings, because Coach Prom doesn't micromanage his DCs or his OCs. I want to interject to say, hopefully this year, Coach Prom will be a little bit more forthcoming and a little bit more hands-on with the decision-making and the play calling, because he was once an OC for his son, and they won 3 state championships. So he has the ability to call plays, and he understands what needs to come based on what the defenses are given or what the offenses are given. He understands that part of it. That's X's and O's. They can be more hands-on with that. Because you have a young mind, because you have somebody who has something to prove, they're going to get mixed messages from Buff Nation. They're coming in here with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and they got to prove a lot. So they're going to work even harder to please the fan base, because you please the fan base and everybody goes crazy. But if you lay an egg, then everybody's going to blame you and they're going to point the finger. What we don't want to repeat is another demotion come mid-season or at the end of the season. Another embarrassment. We don't want that to happen, because when the fans are unhappy or disapprove of something that's happening, they go on the blogs, they go on the YouTube channels, they go to their social media, and they express their displeasure in what's happening. And that message eventually poisons the airwaves and it gets out there. And the last person or the last people that we want to grab that microphone again are the detractors. I'm trying to tell you right now, Buff Nation, we do not want to give the detractors another microphone or make their microphone even louder than it has been these last couple of months. Oh, the detractors have gotten the mic and they've been talking. So we got to handle this with care. That's why I want to know how you feel. You're either going to ride with this or you're not. But one thing you cannot do is to join the choir to start second guessing if something goes wrong. Because anybody that starts something anew need a certain amount of grace to fill out the position, to learn on the job, to understand how to make adjustments, because this thing happens fast. There's a lot of moving pieces. Offensive coordinators are going to be testing your defense. They're going to be throwing a lot of things at you. The NFL plays a lot of traditional football. College football does a lot of trick stuff. The NFL is more traditional, laid back. Anybody can understand it. They play the game at a different level, at the highest level, obviously, but the way that the plays are a little bit more traditional. So anybody can learn it and pick it up. That's how the NFL wants its product to go. You don't see a bunch of trick plays in the NFL. In college, it's a little different. We need to understand this hire. Now, Sean Lewis was a former head coach from Kent State who was on borrowed time. Coach Prime said it himself. He said, we understood that Sean Lewis wanted to be a head coach. We understood that Sean Lewis was here for a year and he was going to move on. Now you get a young guy who's coming from the NFL ranks. Is he trying to bolster his resume as a coordinator to then go back to the NFL? And how soon? Is this guy rented? Is he on borrowed time? Or is he locked in, and is he going to be locked in for a few years? If he does a good job, then his resume pushes him up. If they're getting him with no DC experience and he's young and bright, those are code words for somebody who has aspirations to be a head coach. And usually at the D1 level in college, it's almost like you're trying to get to the NFL as a head coach. Because if you do well as a defensive coordinator, that's like the next step to being a head coach. So it could be a college coach, or it could be trying to coach in the NFL. But definitely Division I FBS football is that next big step to becoming a head coach. So what are his plans? Where does he plan on taking this? And how soon is he trying to do it? We're not going to know those answers. We didn't know the answers for Sean Lewis. We knew that he was going to be here for at least a year, maybe 2 years if they were successful. Nobody thought that he was going to be demoted with 3 games left in the season. Nobody thought that. But we had to live with the decisions that were made. We had to trust the process. There are going to be growing pains. There's going to be time for celebration. We're respecting the decision and we're hoping for the best. But also know that without grace, you're setting yourself up to be disgruntled if things don't go exactly the way that you think that they're going to go. So Buff Nation and all my BWBs out there pondering this decision, watching videos upon videos, this is probably your 3rd or 4th video that you're watching about this DC pick. You're hearing my voice. You're like, all right, Harry B, I hear you. Go into the comments, take off your Coach Prime shades, take off the blenders, and let me know what you think, what you really think. And if you don't want to put it on the record on your main account, go to your burner account, come back and answer this question. All right, Buff Nation and my BWBs, I look forward to hearing from you in the comments. I'm going to leave it right there. Okay.